Hi, it's Wendy here from Shades of Clay, and today I want to talk to you all about Buna Cord. Buna Cord is an industrial strength cord that comes in all kinds of different thicknesses. As you can see here, we have a 1.5 millimeter thickness, 2, which used to be the most common, 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 6, then we jump up to 8 millimeters, and then we jump all the way up to 12.7 millimeters, which equals half an inch. So as you can imagine, the half-inch cord is huge, and it really makes a statement if you choose to use it in a bracelet or a necklace. You can also see the O-rings that we carry that match. So these go with the 12.7 millimeter Buna cord. And as you can see in these two biggest sizes, we not only have the regular thin O-ring, but we also have a thicker one, which you can use in some interesting ways. This one down here you can use on the 1.5 or the 2. The next size O-ring, which we tell you on the website that you can use it for the 3 millimeter cord. You can also use it for the 2 millimeter cord. This one you could use on the 3 mil cord, but it's going to be a little loose, so we prefer to use it on the 4 and the 5. That way you get a tighter fit. This next size up works perfectly with the 8 millimeter Buna cord, and then this one of course goes with the half-inch Buna cord. As you can see here, there are different ways to use it. So when you use the appropriate size O-ring for the cord, you'll get a nice snug fit. And when you get a snug fit, that means that you can use it as a stopper. So think of, a pendant or a bracelet that you have some loose beads on. Well, if you want to control where those beads hang, you can use the O-rings on either side of that bead, and that bead will stay in place. You can also use them to finish off the ends of the cord, like I have done here. You can use them decoratively. You can use them as spacers or locks, and you can also use them at the end of a finding just to give it a nice finish. Okay, now I want to talk to you about end caps and how to finish off the ends of your Buna cord. There are all kinds of basic findings called end caps. This one is the most simple. I'm not sure how well you can see it. It's just like a little spring that has a loop at the end for attaching a jump ring, and then you can attach whatever clasp you choose. This is another basic one here. This is called a fold over end cap. And all you do is, it helps if you put a little dab of glue in there first, put your cord in, and then use your pliers and just fold it over gently, and that squeezes the cord and holds it in place. And then on the end, again, you have a loop for attaching a jump ring and whatever clasp you want. So those are your least expensive options. And then we move up to, let's do the ribbon clamp first. We have a small ribbon clamp. You could fit 2 to 3 pieces of Buna cord in there, depending on what size Buna. You could mix it up, use, 2 thin ones and a thick one, do a little braiding. Then we have this larger ribbon clamp. I think that might be 9 millimeters. And this is how we've used it here. So we did put a little bit of glue in before we crimped the clamp closed on the cord. And we find it's nice and strong, nice and sturdy, and it's a really good look, actually. Then you just attach whatever clasp you want. We've used a lobster clasp and a chain so that it's adjustable. After that, let's go to your basic end cap. So, of course, you need the one that fits the cord. Some of them have a loop. So, once again, you attach your jump ring and then attach whatever clasp. This one actually has a little hole, and you would attach a jump ring to that and go from there. Now, we've started to bring in magnetic ones. So many people love the magnetic ones. They're great. They're easy to use if, you're selling to customers that are a little bit older, or they suffer from arthritis or stiffness in their fingers. They don't have to fuss around, you know, trying to do up and undo the lobster clasp. So we're really loving the magnets, and they come in different sizes. Here's a nice big chunky one, and they are very strong. They're great. This one here, this is a great quality. This one is imported from Greece, as are some of the other ones. It's a magnetic clasp, but it also has these little prongs just to give it some extra hold. Now, I haven't played with this one too much, but I'm thinking that would even be nice on the front of a necklace. If you could somehow wrap it around to the front, maybe wrap your cord around twice or something, and have that as, you know, part of the focal point. That would be lovely. We also have these ones. They're not magnetic. What they do is it's like a little ball slider. And that looks quite nice as well, quite elegant. Okay, so now you might be wondering how you're going to finish off the big 1/2-inch cord. Well, we have a simple solution, and all we've done is we've taken some black annealed steel wire. Of course, you can use your artistic wire or whatever you're used to. And what we've done is we've made our own end caps. We're using this set from the Beadsmith. Nice set of dowels. Here's the 1/2-inch one. I like this set because it does tell you what size the dowels are. But I like the fact that it's a little kit, because I tend to put things back where they belong more often than I normally would. And then what I did was I just wrapped a sheet of tinfoil around this a couple of times. And that's just so that the wire, if I pull too tight, it won't dig into the wooden dowel and be stuck there and not want to come off. So just wrap the steel wire around there, and then put it on the end of the Buna cord. We've finished it off nicely here with a couple of O-rings. We put another O-ring at this end. We've glued these on with a little bit of super glue, and then we just used a screw eye in the end. On this side, I just made myself a little, well, not a toggle, but just a little hook, so that we can hook it into the screw eye on the other side, and put another screw eye here, and we think that's a great solution. We've also been playing with Christy Friesen's Swelligant a lot, and so in the future, some future videos, you'll be seeing us change the look of the steel wire a lot with the Swelligant. Another thing you can do, if you don't like the look of the basic toggles, you like something a little bit different, you can always do something like this. Again, this is just the steel wire wrapped and hammered. I had fun with that. Not sure if I'm going to put this at the front of a necklace and hang a pendant off of there, or if I'll use it at the back and just, you know, put a hook on there for a clasp. Now, most of these end caps that we just talked about, you're going to need to use a little bit of glue. So we recommend using a cyanoacrylate glue. We find that works well with the Buna cord. There's several different brands on the market. These are just some of the ones that we carry. The Loctite happens to be my favorite. I've been using Loctite for so many years now. I like the fact that it's a gel and it doesn't drip. We also carry the E6000. Now, if you happen to be using ice resin for another project and you have a little bit left over, no one says that you can't use ice resin as a glue. If you're not familiar with this, it's a two-part epoxy that you mix together, and it has an incredible bond. It does take a while for it to cure, but it's a great thing to use as well. I hope you found that helpful. Now we're going to go ahead and show you some of the examples that we have been working on. This is one of my favorite pieces made with the 1/2-inch Buna cord. I've really enjoyed wearing this. This was just a copper bit that I picked up, and I used Swelligant
to patina that. That's the sapphire one. These are just some purchased pewter rings, some O-rings used as stoppers so that these can't travel all the way to the opening of the bracelet. All these little bits here, or charms, were made with the Blocks and Dots Cabezo mold. I just used a cookie cutter to punch them out for the most part. It was really, really simple to do, and then I aged them with the Swelligant. This is a piece of copper pipe that I've used to hide the opening. So I'll show you how that works. Slide it off, and the what I've done here is I use the Swelligant again on some screw eyes. I've cut this one in so that it can act as a hook, and I just screwed them both into the Buna. Do that, push that over, and it's all of a sudden hidden. Okay, now that we've talked about Buna Cord and all the different sizes that are available, all the different end caps that are available, the fact that you can make your own end caps out of steel wire or artistic wire. You can even make your own end caps out of polymer clay, of course. You can extrude polymer clay and use it in the same way that you saw me use the steel wire. This, of course, is the most basic use of Buna Cord. You can make a channel on the back of your pendant and string the Buna Cord through, or you can drill a hole in the baked pendant, the same size as the Buna Cord. Use some super glue, put this inside, and then use a nice little O-ring to finish off the edge in a neat, tidy way. This is another great way to use the Buna Cord. This, of course, is 4mm. I've seen 5mm used this way. And all you do is make some kind of a place for the Buna Cord to fit into. You would put the Buna Cord into the raw clay, push the clay around the Buna Cord to make a channel the exact size of the cord. Remove the cord, bake your piece, and once it's baked and cooled, use some super glue, again like Loctite, or if you have a favorite glue, and glue the Buna Cord in to make it permanent. This was made with a piece of Buna Cord and a piece of leather cord, and I've used the O-rings here as a decorative element. I've also used the O-rings down here to keep all this in place. And then all I've done is taken, this is a wooden bead. I liked the color of it. Of course, you can make your own beads out of polymer. And then I've just knotted the ends. I put some O-rings here to stop it. Of course, you can move them up if you want your opening to be a little tighter. And then I just tied and glued a big chunky knot here. And you'll just feed that through, and the weight will help to keep it together around your neck. This cord hasn't quite been finished on the ends, but I realized I wanted to show you a pendant that has a channel on the back. So once the bead was baked, I just added another thin layer of clay to the back, laid some Buna Cord in there, some scrap. I keep a few pieces around, and I baked the Buna in, and when it's cooled, you just give the Buna a twist, and it pulls out easily. As you can see, I've also used the O-rings here to finish off the sides nicely. Here's a different sort of example where I have embedded a metal piece into the back of my pendant. And then I've just folded the Buna Cord and had it come off of an O-ring, and then I made some fun little pieces out of wire. And just wrapped them around the ends, squeezed it tight so that it wouldn't slip off, and then I just created my own findings out of steel wire. I showed you this example already where we've used 7 pieces of Buna, and we've secured them with a ribbon clamp, and then you can just add whatever findings you want, whatever toggle clasp or you want to do your bracelet up with. This is another work in progress. This is the 8mm Buna Cord. We've used a series of O-rings as decorative elements. Here we have used the Swelligant, metal paints, and patinas, and then I carved away some to make it interesting. The way that I attach this here is, this is actually cut away here, and then I've put a little piece of steel wire through here to secure it with a little bit of glue. And once again, the Swelligant, and I put an O-ring here. I was thinking maybe something would hang from there. I'm not sure yet. This is another one of my favorites. It's the first piece I made with the 1/2-inch Buna Cord. Again, some copper findings were used here. Some O-rings were used as stoppers, both thick and thin. Then I just used steel wire. I wrapped it around one of my wooden dowels. I'm not sure if I showed you this set or not, but this is from the Beadsmith. And you open it up and all your dowels are safe inside so that you don't lose them. I put some tin foil around this just so that my steel wire would slip off more easily. If you tend to wind it a little too tight, it might get caught on the wooden dowel. So that's all I've done for these pieces here. And then of course I glued on some O-rings to finish that off nicely. Some screw eyes again. And then I made my own hook finding. If you're not sure what screw eyes are, you can get them from the hardware store. Of course, they come really, really shiny. And shiny, you know, might be good for some looks. I personally, as you can tell, I'm sort of into the grunge look. So what I do with mine is I tend to use the darkening liquid from the Swelligant line of patinas. Okay, and here's the final pieces we wanted to show you. For this necklace, we have used the leftover pieces from the Buna Cord. You don't have to waste any of it. And for these ones, we have carved it. We've coated it with the metal Swelligant by Christy Friesen and carved it. Then we've patinaed it. On this one, we didn't carve it. I believe there was some Gilder's paste and some Swelligant used. We've joined them, some of the handmade links that we did. We just wrapped it around the wooden dowel, same as we showed you before for the end caps. And then we joined it with rubber O-rings. We've also capped each end with an O-ring just to finish it off nicely. An easy way to cut the Buna Cord, once you get past a certain thickness, you can't use scissors any longer, so you just need to use a sharp blade and cut straight down. I wasn't happy with these. They were cut on a bit of an angle. I wanted them straighter, so the little bits that I cut off, I turned into earrings. And these are very small, but I think they look great, and these hoops were just made out of the steel wire again. Okay, well, that's it for now. Those are all of the examples that I've come up with in a very short amount of time, actually. I've really enjoyed working with the new, thicker pieces of Buna Cord. I hope I've inspired you to try it on your own, and I hope you can come up with some great ideas. Of course, just about everything you've seen here is available at shadesofclay.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us as well. Thanks for watching.